Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe and welcome to my Gothtober recommendations video. So usually what I do for Gothtober is that I recommend you diverse Gothic books, but this time I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently. I want to recommend you 23 books that you could possibly read for Gothtober that I've read in the past year, rapid fire style. So I'm going to give you a synopsis, what I thought about it very quickly, and then we're going to move on right to the next one, and hopefully this will give you plenty of options that could possibly cover any of the prompts you get. Before I give you recommendations that I've read and really do recommend, I'm just going to start by shouting out They Own the Night by Amy McCaw, which I haven't read yet because it arrived literally yesterday, but this is Amy McCaw's latest release and it's a retelling of Dracula, so I just had to recommend it as someone who really likes vampire books, who's read Amy McCaw's vampire books in the past and enjoyed them, and who kind of knows the author and really recommends this because she is so lovely. So I just wanted to put this on your plate and on your mind for Gothtober. And now let's get down to the 22 books that I have read and personally recommend to you myself as well. Starting by going all the way back to the first book that I read in Gothtober in 2024, and that is Gulliotine by Delilah S. Dawson. I've read 2 Delilah S. Dawsons since and really enjoyed them all. Gulliotine is about this young girl who decides to go to her boyfriend's island getaway, which his family owns, which is very expensive, but when she gets there it turns out that all of the staff on this island have been terribly mistreated all of their time working there, and they've decided that they are going to kill the members of the family one by one in a way that gets them revenge. It's very Ready or Not meets The Menu in a book. That's what it's described as on the back, and that is what it serves you piping hot. I had a fun with this one. It's a blast. I read it in 24 hours and I could not stop. Then we have All Systems Red by Martha Wells. One of the prompts for Gothtober is to read a book with a sentient house or a sentient object, and the All Systems Red series is something that counts for that. I've only read the first one in this series, but I do really recommend it. They are sci-fi novellas about this robot who is supposed to be there to assist people, but all he wants to do is watch his silly shows and ignore the humans, and is very awkward about being around them and thinks about murdering the humans on a regular basis. That's what it's about. There's also a TV series. It's a lot of fun. It's really cute, especially the first one, and it's not actually scary or murdery. It's a little bit more cozy light sci-fi. Bad Dolls by Rachel Harrison. This is a short story collection that is about haunted objects and terrible things such as self-sacrifice to create a spell, you know, a magic 8-ball that tells you the future very clearly, and other things like that. But really at its core it's about being a young 20-something at a crossroad in your life where you're letting go of old friendships and moving to new, starting relationships or escaping out of bad ones. And it's just so relatable as someone who is in her 20s, but it's still horror tinged and really well done. It's also 4 short stories in a whole collection, so you can read it very quickly if you want to whiz through it this Gothtober. I have to recommend you Model Home by Rivers Solomon. This is one that fits the sentient house prompt, and on its surface it's about a house that's haunted. These 3 kids have moved away from this house, they're adults now, but they get called back when both of their parents are found murdered outside of it. It's about whether this house is or isn't haunted, if it's a metaphor for something larger, about the racism they've experienced, but also about trauma that has lingered with you for a very long time. It's a very emotionally heavy book. Check your content warnings if you want to, but I really loved it. I really like Rivers Solomon's writing, and it's nice to see a book with a black main character, a fat main character, a non-binary main character, and a disabled main character all in one, which fits a lot of the Gothtober prompts as well. The 5th one I'm going to recommend to you is a novella that's dark academia, and yes, this is Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. It's about this group of people who work at this campus. They are not students themselves. For the most part, they're either dropouts or they run the student bar or they work in the research facility, and they see a mysterious man burying something in the graveyard where they're allowed to smoke outside, and it's about them solving the mystery of what was being buried and why it was being buried. It is a kind of mystery where you slowly pass the baton on to the next person as they solve the next piece, and it has a lot to do with insomnia, which is something I could very much relate to, and it's a nice quick dark academia dip in. I'm also going to recommend 1 Yellow Eye by Leigh Radford. This is a unique take on zombies. Think of a zombie book but with a literary fiction edge to it. And this is about Kester. So in this one, the zombie apocalypse is done. They've killed all the zombies, they've rounded them up, and everybody is safe. Or so that's what they think. Because Kester is a female scientist and she has kept her zombie boyfriend locked up in her flat in London because she is determined to find the cure and save him. And it's about her trying to do that, and it's a bit of her emotional spiral as she tries to do that. It's got zombies in it, but it's also really kind of adjacent to looking after someone who is terminally ill and caring for them, and that deterioration of the relationship and also of the body as well, and how sad and heartbreaking and isolating that can feel. It's got a sci-fi tinge to it because she is a scientist trying to find a cure, but it's also got horror elements and real life grieving elements, and so I feel like this book really had it all. I'm also going to recommend Penance by Eliza Clark. This is an intense one in terms of body gore, and it's a literary fiction book that almost feels like you're reading a real non-fiction true crime book even though you aren't. And it's about this true crime case where these 3 high school girls decided to brutally, horrifically attack another student, and it's about what happened when they did so, but what led up to it, and the way that it is commentary on the sensationalizing of true crime stories and of people's real, horrifying life encounters, but also on commentary on women and how we fetishize, but also how we perceive teenage girls and their struggles, and how we take their narratives from them and frame them and speak for them in the way that we want to as adults. All of that is very cleverly done. Next up, we've got Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix is known as one of the masters of horror, and in this one it's quite a different take. While there is witchcraft in it, it's also leaning a lot more on the literary edge, because we are facing a horror that could very well become another real life thing, even though it is currently or was a thing of the past. And it's about these teenagers who are wayward girls because they become pregnant as teenagers, and they get sent by their parents or by the people around them to these schools where they have their babies, and then their babies are taken away and they are sent back to live their real lives as if nothing has happened, although clearly something has happened to them. They'll never be the same as they were before. And we're following Fern, who is a pregnant girl who gets sent to this school, and because they feel so helpless, they start to turn to witchcraft in order to get revenge or to escape or to be able to keep their children. And that is what the story is about. I read this one and it's a bit of a chonker, so get ready for a slow burn, a bit more of a gothic feel with low magic levels to it, but I did really like it, and I did really like the messaging. It felt very timely when we are dealing with the abortion laws being implemented in countries where they didn't have them currently, and so I did like how much this one had its finger on the pulse. The next book I want to recommend is Rose House by Arkady Martine. This is a sci-fi novella. Again, it fits with a sentient house story because you've got an AI house that was created by a creator, and the creator is the only one who lives there, and also pretty much the only one with access to it when the creator is found dead inside the house, or the AI house rather reports that the creator is dead inside the house. And it's about the police and the people who try to get inside the house, but also who try to figure out exactly what happened, and the house can talk back to the investigators. I read this very quickly, I really liked it. Be prepared for a bit of an ambiguous story, but I liked what we got from it. The 10th one I'm recommending here is Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. This is a straight up horror novel which is told from the perspective of a child, and the child has this imaginary other mummy who lives in the closet. However, maybe other mummy is more real than the parents realize, because other mummy keeps asking if it can go into the child's heart and if the child will let her in. So it's got some of those really typical horror tropes, and I do think when I was reading this it was very much like watching a horror film, a child possession horror film. That's very much how this felt, and the parents are just truly despicable people, and I kind of like how this kind of unraveled slowly and what it amounted to, and I really did like that we got it from the child's perspective. I think it worked for such a creepy tale. This one is for my dark romance readers who want some dark romance in their Gothtober, and I have to recommend recommend to you not Sierra Simone, but Neon Gods by Katee Roberts. This is a Greek mythology dark romance series, and we're starting the first one with a Hades and Persephone story. Who would have thunk? But it's actually very, very good. And in this one, Persephone is given a whole lot more, you know, autonomy as she chooses to run away to Hades' underworld so that she can be protected from Zeus, who is very much a predator. And as she does so, she decides that she's going to fake date Hades to anger Zeus all the more, and if she goes far enough with Hades, she should become undesirable to Zeus. It is steamy, and it is all so good because the steam in this makes consent look like the hottest thing ever. It's got some light BDSM elements to it, or heavier BDSM elements to it, depending on your BDSM tolerance level. And I really liked Persephone. I loved Hades as this like ice cold monster with a warm heart underneath it all. It was such a fun read, and I've since read sequels in the series, and I plan to merrily continue. I'm also going to recommend to you When Among Crows by Veronica Roth, which is one of the best books that I've read this year, and I keep recommending it. This one has a bit of more of a gothic tone to it, and again, it's a novella. Can you tell that I love my novella stories? It's a Polish mythology novella where you're following a man who is trying to find a particular flower, and this flower has a power to grant a particular wish. You don't know what that wish is, but you see the lengths that he goes to try and get this flower to where it needs to be for him to be able to grant that wish. It's quite topical. The whole thing is commentary for something that cannot be misconstrued, and I really loved seeing it all come together. But I was there every single step of the way. I loved seeing more about the Polish creatures and mythology elements, but I really liked the characterization and the beautiful, beautiful writing in this. I'm recommending Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune because this one follows a main character who is dead, and ghosts definitely fit into the Gothtober theme. This one is more sad, cozy, literary, with a big focus on grief. So if that's what you're looking for in your Gothtober and less spooky, then this could be the book for you. You're following Wallace. He's a horrible lawyer, a horrible business owner. Nobody likes him, and he dies of a heart attack, and he wakes up undead, and he ends up in this tea shop, which is kind of an in-between place as you start to process that you're dead before you move on to where you need to go next. And as he does so, he starts to learn more about the life that he could have lived, the lives that he has hurt and damaged, and what he can do to kind of earn his penance. There's a lot of conversing in this, and there's lots of conversations on grief, and so I think if you are here for a sad Gothtober time or a ghostly Gothtober time, this could be a read for you. I'm going to recommend Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. I had to recommend one T. Kingfisher, and I decided to go for Thornhedge. This one's a bit more of a gothic feel to it. It's a novella again, and it's a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, but it takes a very unique look at Sleeping Beauty. It adds in things like the green teeth and fairies and changelings, but the main thing about this that I absolutely loved were our two main characters that we meet, Halim and Toadling. They are adorable, and I can't wait for you to meet them too if you read this book. I had to recommend Butter, okay? It does have something to do with possible murder, so it counts for Gothtober, but really it's a chunky literary fiction book. So if you're a chunky literary fiction reader and you want to join in with Gothtober, you can as well. And Butter by Asako Yuzuki is translated from Japanese, and while it is about a journalist investigating a woman who's on trial for possible murder of several men, she cooks them really great meals and then possibly murders them. While it is about that, it's also mostly focusing on feminism in Japan and the treatment of women in Japan, and also dieting and food culture in Japan. So it's kind of about possible murder, but really it's about all that other stuff. Another one I'm going to recommend for you is A House for Miss Pauline by Diane McAuley. This is by a Jamaican author, and it's one that fits for the sentient house prompt because you're following an old woman who believes that the stones in her house have started moving and are trying to tell her something, and so you hear the journey of her past, but also her journey of looking into certain things that are happening in the present day timeline as she tries to figure out what her house is trying to tell her. This one is steeped in Jamaican culture, so if you want to be transported to Jamaica this Gothtober, please go there. It's so lovely how this one captures the dialect with the patois of our main character. She's an old lady who is sassy, and I loved that characterization, and the story is a slow, unwinding one that you can enjoy. I've now got Ring Shout by P. Djeli Clark. This is a horror fantasy novella, so if you want to try something that's horror tinged but also has fantastical elements, points. This is a great balance, and I highly recommend it for fans of Sinners. Again, one of the best books I've read this year. It is about these fighters who can see that the KKK are actually literally monsters, and they have that second sight to be able to see what they really are and be able to fight them as well. But when they're brought against a formidable foe who is weaponizing all of the KKK, there's going to be a big showdown that goes down. There's music in this one, the shouts are a form of singing, and there's loads and loads of magic, and there's some big fights as well. I fell in love with the characters, with the culture, with the storytelling, with the mythology, all of it top tier, fantastic. Would love to reread at some point. A graphic novel for our graphic novel readers who want to join in is Ghost Roast. This is a young adult graphic novel, and you guessed it, the ghosts are the part that make it Gothtober friendly. And it's about this young girl who gets grounded for the summer, and that includes having to work for her dad's ghost busting business, and her dad uses all of these techie items to help him see the ghosts and defeat them, but she realizes she can just see them with her naked eye. And it's about what these ghosts tell her, solving the mystery of why they are still around, and it's a really fun storyline with fantastic artwork. I really liked it. One for our thriller readers who are joining us in Gothtober is The Tenant by Freida McFadden. I've read 2 of her thrillers and I decided this is the one I want to recommend. It is told from the point of view of this man where everything starts going wrong in his life. He loses his job, his girlfriend is starting to doubt him and whether she wants to get married to him anymore. The money is going down the drain, and what he needs to do on the money front is to hire a tenant and let them into the house so that he can start, you know, covering the mortgage rent payments again as he's now unemployed. However, while this tenant is a daydream to everybody around him, he cannot stand her, she's getting on her last nerves, and maybe something more sinister is going on. If you've ever had to share a flat or space with someone you don't like or who's doing these slightly niggly things wrong, this is the thriller for you. You'll be able to relate to it. It does go to some very dark places, but it is a very fun thriller. I just whizzed through it and kept turning those pages, so it's a very quick one to read for Gothtober as well. We're in the last 3, folks, so I will recommend you one more graphic novel, and that is Garlic and the Vampire by Brie Paulson. This is a very popular graphic novel on BookTube, but I only recently read it for myself, and it's very autumnal, so it's very suited to Gothtober. It's about these sentient vegetables who have been made sentient to help a witch with the gardening, but in the castle nearby, it looks like a vampire has moved in, and so they send cowardly Garlic over there because what is the one thing that vampires are like kind of allergic to? Garlic. It is a really quick read. It is a very adorable and cute read. I liked the sentient vegetables, I liked the vampire, I liked the story a lot. It was so heartwarming. I don't think I've recommended a splatterpunk horror. This is very dark horror that is not meant to be enjoyed but is meant to be endured and appreciated while you're enduring it. And that is At Dark I Become Loathsome by Eric LaRocca, who is a trans author, and I really liked this splatterpunk book. It's heavily steeped and focused in grief because we're following our male main character who is bisexual, and he is grieving for his wife who has passed away, and his son is currently missing, and so he's in that stage of searching for his son and grieving for his son. And what he does is these special ceremonies for people where he buries them alive and then unearths them, and this gives them hope to keep living. And yet as he goes on this dark spiral of missing his son, grieving for his wife, and struggling with his internalized homophobia, he ends up changing what he does in that ritual, and it's about what he does, why he does it, and his emotional state throughout the whole thing. It is dark. I cannot stress this to you more, but by the end of it I was satisfied with what I got from the reading experience, and I really liked it. And if you want to read some queer books for Gothtober, this could be one of them. And then last but not least, I don't think I have yet to recommend you a middle grade horror book, and so I'm going to recommend Dead Yard Seeds of Doom by PJ Kilburn. This is a middle grade book about a young boy who is at his great uncle's dead yard, which is a kind of celebration of life and a passing on to the next stage that is done in Jamaican culture, also known as Nine Nights, if that's more familiar. And he is not supposed to be eating the food before midnight. He eats a patty and suddenly, poof, there's his great uncle's, you know, ghost attached to him that he can see and hear and nobody else can. And when children start mysteriously becoming ill in his town, him and his ghostly family member need to work together to solve what is happening and to bring down the magical creature from Jamaican mythology that could be causing the problem. This is a really fun middle grade book. It's steeped in Jamaican culture and big family culture. It's set in London, in West London, and so it felt like home to me and familiar to me because I could recognize a lot of the areas, but also it felt like home to me and I felt very seen because it was that Jamaican British culture that so clearly represented a lot of my own experiences. I could really see it in this. It has ghosts in it, so it counts for Gothtober, and it's scary in a way that's scary for kids, but also scary that you won't be able to sleep at night if you are one of those adults who don't mess with horror books. You can mess with this one. And phew, there you have it in under 23 minutes. I recommended you 23 books that you could possibly read for Gothtober, but if that is not enough for you, there are more recommendations right now on Hannah from Ladette M's channel and also Tish from Letitia Garcia's channel, because they are my Gothtober co-hosts. If you were wondering what I was on about this whole time when I was talking about Gothtober, well, do I have the video for you, and I've linked that down below. That is my Gothtober announcement video where you can find out more information about the readathon and how you can join in as well. It is the readathon of the year, you know. I think that, and I'm totally not biased, so make sure you check it out. Please let me know in the comment section down below, did any of these books tickle your fancy, or is there a gothic, horror or creepy book that you would recommend to me? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!